All right, welcome back, Savvy Family. Today we're sharing an awesome story from Melissa from bookkeepingforpainters.com. She's kind of created this side hustle and turned it into a six-figure and now seven-figure online business. So kind of want to share her story and just help you guys get motivated and inspired to kind of take control of your life, start freelancing online, start making money on your own terms. So welcome to the show, to the YouTube channel, Melissa. And yeah, let's just start with kind of your background story, a little bit about yourself and where you guys kind of started.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. So back in 2016, my husband came home from his first deployment. He was in the Army National Guard, and he had just finished his accounting degree and was trying to figure out what he was going to do with his life outside of the Army, and decided to start looking into how he could make some kind of business work in the accounting world. And he stumbled across what was then Bookkeeper business launch. I don't know, they've had a lot of different names, but now it's Bookkeeper Lunch. And he decided to take that course and decided to go into creating a bookkeeping firm based on Ben Robinson's recommendation. And then with his experience previously having run a painting business, he decided that we wanted to niche this business in painting businesses. So pretty quickly in 2016, Bookkeeping for Painters was born, and it really just, kind of took off from there. He worked in the business, I think, for about 2 or 3 months when we decided that I was going to leave my full-time job to join him, and that we would grow this business together.
Awesome. You got a lot of similarities to our story. We actually started the Savvy Couple in 2016. My wife was a teacher and ended up quitting her job to join me full time after I quit my job as a jail deputy. So the time frame and kind of a couple doing it together is awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about your background. What were you doing before you kind of jumped in full time?
Yeah, so I was working in retail management for, in the same position, the same company for about 5 or 6 years. Typically, I was making about 6 figures at that time, but I was working a good 50 to 60 hours per week in retail, on my feet all day, all of the holidays, all of the weekends. You couldn't take off more than a week at a time to travel. And it was just really like a terrible work-life balance. And so my experience was purely in really just sales, but also working with people. And I think I had come home crying for like the 15th time that month because all of those things are stressful. And my husband's like, well, we can make this work. It's going to be, just join us. I'm not worried about money. I'm not worried about anything. And so I went, and it was the first time I had ever quit a job without having something lined up. And so he's like, well, you could just come on and you have the sales experience, come and help me sell in the business. I think maybe 2 years later, he did fill me in that he was actually worried about money. He wasn't as confident in telling me to quit my job, but it did work out. We actually, I think his goal was to have 12 clients by the end of the next year.
Okay.
Because we're talking about, this was October of 2016 that I quit my job. And we had more than 12 clients by the end of that current year after I had joined him and went, full force on sales.
Gotcha. So you kind of had the business up and running. It was making good money, but still taking a leap of faith from a 6-figure job. That's quite intimidating.
It was not making good money yet. No, we were not making enough money to cover our expenses at the time when I quit my job. So yeah, it was like everything you tell people probably not to do. But his idea was, we needed to let go of the things that were weighing us down so we could fully focus on building the business.
For sure.
We did have savings, of course. He had, especially from being in the Army, having lived pretty frugally, but at that time, we were living in an 800 square foot house. We had a pretty low mortgage, pretty low expenses. For several years growing the business, we lived on less than $30,000 a year so that we could grow the business to where we did.
Yeah, that's frugal. That's amazing. So did you guys have any debt at that time that you were trying to pay off as well? Or did you kind of pay off student loan debt or didn't have any?
No, no student loan debt. My husband, fortunately through the Army, his, education was paid for. And then I've never finished college. I went to college. It wasn't a good fit for me. And so that was something that we were lucky to not have, but also very intentional on not creating and not keeping as well. So we drove, actually to this day, we don't have a new car. We're very frugal people in general. We actually have a 1991 Nissan Pathfinder. We paid about $3,000 for it. It's not nice in any way. My kids remind me that when they get into a nice car, why can't we have nice things? I'm like, nah, because it's cheap and you guys are going to ruin it anyway.
Yeah.
Back then we had a used car that we had paid for in cash. Same thing. Yeah, just
Very
living,
good.
as tight as we could. We didn't go out to eat very much. Tried to stay at home and keep things, as low as a cost as possible.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people struggle with kind of keeping that lifestyle inflation down so that you have less things to pay for and you have more freedom to jump jobs or start a career path as a business owner. We're definitely in the same boat. We would drive a 2013 Honda Pilot, but it's got 190,000 on it. And we live in Western New York, so there's tons of salt. So it's kind of at its end. So we'll probably be trading that in soon and get another vehicle. Awesome. So it also sounds like you and your husband kind of mesh really well together. You kind of have your expertise. He has his experience with painting and bookkeeping, and you guys kind of mesh that together to start the business. Can you tell me a little bit about like the very beginning phases of, maybe you took a course or you're learning bookkeeping. He obviously went to school for that. How did you guys get your first client, get your foot in the door, and then kind of build from there to turn it from a side hustle to a legitimate business?
Yeah, great question. So the course itself, so of course he had, his master's degree that he had finished up, but he took the Bookkeeper launch course to learn about bookkeeping specifically. And so his focus was really building our processes and procedures, how we would actually be able to do the work that we were going to provide. When it came to getting first clients, I believe he got his first client before I joined him. I joined him about 3 months in. The second month through LinkedIn mining. And that was also a recommendation, I believe, from Bookkeeper launch at the time. But really just getting in front of and consistently just reaching out to our target audience. That is always, and that's still honestly how we get clients to this day.
Yep.
Just consistently being where painting businesses are going to be, and providing value and free content and just being an expert in what we do really generates, the leads coming in from there.
Yep. And then was there anything specific that you kind of used besides systems processes to go from that 6-figure to 7-figure? We're kind of in that middle phase. We want to get to 7 figures this year ourselves. So I'm just curious, what were the big levers or big things that you had to do within your business to take it from that multiple 6-figure to 7-figure business?
Yeah, so that's actually where our business has gone through a lot of different cycles. So in 2019, we actually kind of knew in 2017 that there would be another deployment. And so that's a big reason why we focus on the systems and processes, and also figuring out how eventually the company would run without my husband, because we knew that would happen again. So I think that sets us apart from a lot of businesses where you can kind of think of, oh, this is how we're going to do it. Whereas we're thinking, okay, we know we're going to have a deadline where we're going to have to remove the key person from the business, and the business still function. So I actually left the business for a little bit after I had my first son. He was born premature, and it's just, with kids, just dealing with all of the things. But the plan was I would come back in 2019 and I would help with just some administrative work, billing, making sure everything was running smoothly. And at that time, we had about 18,000 in monthly recurring revenue. So we had gotten it to a pretty good place. We did have another CEO in place that was going to run the company in my husband's absence, because we just decided my focus would be taking care of our son while my husband was deployed primarily. Well, what ended up happening was none of the things that we had planned. We found out that I was pregnant right before he was going to deploy. And then shortly after, our CEO resigned and did not give notice. And then he also tried to steal all of our clients.
Wow.
And this happened while my husband was in the field, and I had no communication. I couldn't reach Now I'm thinking, okay, none of the things have gone according to plan. What do I do? So I picked up the phone and I called Ben Robinson, who created Bookkeeper Launch. Luckily, I had his phone number and I was like, hey, Ben, I'm freaking out a little bit. What would you do? And he's like, well, first of all, you need to obviously talk to a lawyer really quick. And he's like, and then also you just need to like relax, because there's not a lot you're going to be able to do right now.
Yeah.
And knowing you guys, I know you'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. Like we'll kind of help out and figure out a plan. So I spent that weekend panicking. And then on Monday, the CEO had come back to me and he's like, actually, just kidding. I don't want to resign. But at that point, I had already made up my mind, and I'm a very stubborn person. And I still hadn't talked to my husband at this point, by the way. And so I told him, I said, actually, no, I accept your resignation. I think that's a great idea. And we'll figure out, how you're going to transfer out. And at that point, I had decided that I was going to step in as CEO, that I was going to take over the company. Not only that I was going to maintain the company, but it was my goal then to double the company and then continue to double the company from there. Like I had this weird thought, it must have been the pregnancy hormones, that like, not only did I want to maintain my husband's business, but I wanted to grow his business while he was gone. So like, it was better when he got back. Like, I don't know why I was like, and even after that, I had talked to him and he's like, no, just like focus on just keep it at where it's at. And I was like, nah, I'm not going to do that. And so that year, 2019, we grew a little bit. And then between 2019 and 2020, we doubled to about 42,000 in monthly recurring revenue. And then from 2020 to 2021, doubled again. I think we ended the year somewhere around 86 or 89. And then just kept going. And so that's just been my plan, is just to keep doubling it from there.
Yeah.
And then so he actually came back from deployment. I told him he couldn't come back because I was like, no, this is mine now. But then in 2022, I was like, okay, you can come back. And so now he's come back into the business as the COO. So we're actually working together again. So that's like kind of the weird thing. It was like my husband, then it was me and my husband. Then it was just my husband, then it was just me, and now it's like me and my husband again. So it's like, it's a weird transition.
You've gone through a lot of phases. That I can't imagine going through the situation with the CEO and him trying to take clients and kind of shut down your business. I mean, that's got to be really wow.
Yeah, and so like when it comes to like the strategy of like how we got it from that 6-figure to that 7-figure business, is when I try to explain this to people, it makes sense to some people, it doesn't make sense to others. It was really just, okay, I want to get to this dollar amount, so I want to make $1 million. What does that look like? I'm going to break that down into monthly recurring revenue and then our average client size. So I'm going to divide that by our average client size. That means that I need this number of clients. In order to get this number of clients, I need this number of free consultations because of my close rate is this percentage. Okay, in order to get that number of leads, I need to have this number of marketing funnels running in order to get that number of leads. And then you go into the production. Okay, if I have that many clients, what is the production going to look like? I'm going to need this many team members. And then just working yourself back to figure out, okay, the first step is I'm going to need to hire for this particular role while I start implementing these different marketing sources in order to bring in the number of leads I need to in order to sell that many clients. So to me, it was literally just a math problem of taking where I wanted to go, breaking it down, and then figuring out, okay, these are all the steps I need to do. And then now I'm just going to do them, do it, check it off, do it, check it off. There was no timeline. There was no like very specific strategy that it had to be done by a certain time. It was just, I'm going to work through this to-do list as I can, and what results will come from it as they happen.
Yeah. Kind of reverse engineering and then just continue to solve the problems to get you where you want to be. Curious.
Exactly.
You seem like a very driven woman. What drives you?
Money.
Money. Yeah.
Such a terrible answer.
Hey,
but,
money makes the world go round.
I'm very financially motivated.
And
it's funny to see, my husband is as well. And both of our children are like, they want to make money. And it's so funny to see that, how that happens. And I will say that's also been my biggest struggle with managing people, is that to me, it makes sense that people would be financially motivated. Like, I'm going to work so I can get more money because more money is more freedom, right? Not everybody's financially motivated. So it's much harder when you're a financially motivated person to take yourself out of that and realize that people are motivated by other means in their work life. So when it comes to managing a team, just giving somebody a raise isn't going to fulfill them necessarily. So I will say that that's been a struggle for me personally.
Yeah, you really got to build that relationship with them and see what makes them tick and motivates them, keeps them, passionate and inspired to help with your mission as well.
Exactly.
We've kind of come across the same thing with our team. So I want to dig into the numbers now just a little bit. So hearing you say 18,000 a month, 42,000 a month, 90,000 a month, over 100,000 a month, that's like insane to some of our audience, like to even fathom that much money. So obviously it started small, you scaled, and grew it into a business. What does your average client pay you per month? I know there's probably a range of services, but on a typical client, what can you make off one?
So I have actually, I just completed our annual price increases. So I actually have a lot of these numbers right now. Right now, our average client is paying us $935 a month. Okay. When I took over the business in 2019, that number was closer to $400 a month. And so that was a big part of the strategy, was to also revamp our pricing structure, revamp our package structure, look at, analyzing how much time was spent per client, figuring out what we needed to do to get there. And even then, I will say last year we had, it wasn't our best year. And a big reason was because we had a lot of our original clients still paying prices before our current price structure.
Gotcha.
So this is a year again where we're very focused on gross profit. And so now that $935 a month number is where we need to be to have a healthy gross profit so that we can be sustainable, but also continue to grow as well.
Yep. And then for each client that you have, you have, how many do you have? 100 and something now? 126, you said?
This is based off 123, but we signed a few since I had this.
So over 100. What does your team look like now that you have such a big business?
So we have anywhere between 18 to 22 employees. We've had some flexing recently. A few people had to leave for personal reasons. Some they just work, seasonally. And then we have anywhere from about 30 to 50 subcontractors. Depending on, again, the season. The reason why there's so many subcontractors is because we are kind of experimenting, in a sense, with how to hire and train and outsource subcontractors without using an outsourcing company.
Gotcha.
For a variety of reasons, and also how to bring those people in, train them up. And then there's a higher turnover rate for outsourced subcontractors in general, but also trying to pad different departments with outsourced subcontractors in order to position ourselves for growth as well. But we have a core team of about 18 to 20.
Okay. And when your husband first started the business, it was just him kind of bootstrapping it by himself, maybe a freelancer or two?
So it was actually just him. And then when I came on board, I started doing some of the bookkeeping for probably until midway through 2017, about when I had my son. I think I stopped bookkeeping when I had my son in 2017. It's very clear I should not be a bookkeeper for sure. And I want to say that was sometime in 2017, he brought on subcontractors, I believe.
Okay. Gotcha.
It's hard to remember that far back.
Yeah, it is. It goes by quick. What does your typical day look like now with you and your husband, both within the business? I know my wife and I work on our business and kind of set up a schedule. So, one of us is watching the kids and the girls at one point, and then the other one's working, kind of switch. What does your guys' day look like on a normal basis?
Yeah, so we used to do something like that. And I will say when we first started, we were very systemized, like we had a schedule and we were very intentional on like, this is the time when we'll meet about the business. This is when, make sure you Slack message me. Don't just like come and walk into my office when I'm working, that type of thing. And now it's a little bit more of a free for all. In a sense, we're not as structured there, but we're both working full-time in the business. We're very lucky to have full-time childcare. So both of my children are in school. I am due with my third child, hopefully today. I'm tired of being pregnant. So that will change things slightly. I
Yeah.
will be taking a slight break. But for the most part, we're working separately, but on the same mission.
Yep.
So he is the COO, I'm the CEO. Where we've kind of converged recently is that since I'm going on maternity leave, he is going to be picking up more sales and marketing tasks that I typically do to give me time so that I can be with our children.
Yeah. So is your due date today? Congratulations, by the way.
What should be, but who knows? Kids come whenever they want to come. So
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
hopefully it'll be, and hopefully any day now. I'm tired of being
That's too funny. Very cool. So give us a little, I know your husband took the course, Bookkeeper launched. Give us a little kind of review. Would you recommend it to someone that's wanting to start a proofreading business, proofreading side hustle to earn some extra income? They're good with numbers. Is it, is that a good course to take in order to get you to making money online?
Yeah, for anybody that wants to start a bookkeeping business, there's definitely no course that is going to be anywhere close to the value that they provide. But also not only just to get started, they have additional courses that are going to help you as you grow. And then if you find that bookkeeping isn't for you and you prefer taxes as well, I will say, having TaxBiz, for instance, again, that's something that my husband has actually helped Ben Robinson with, because we do have also a tax division in our business. You really can't get, again, that amount of value in one place that you can have the knowledge that you need to start your business, but also the practical, this is how you start your business aspect and get up and running in the amount of time that you can with these courses. You just can't find that anywhere else.
Yeah. Yep. We promote a lot of courses, and it's really weird for an audience that's kind of going from a 9 to 5 to start a side hustle to invest in a course to learn something new, but it is the way to jumpstart either your side hustle or a full-time business.
100%.
And it's going to save you the time and the hassle and the mistakes. So we recommend one of the best investments you can make is investing in yourself. So of course, like Bookkeeper launch is definitely a good move to make. All right, we got 2 more questions here and then I'll let you go, and hopefully you're able to have your baby today. Congratulations again. If someone is looking to get started as a bookkeeper, they're new to it, or maybe they do it full time and they just want to start a side hustle, get a couple clients on the side, what would you recommend the steps they take to get started?
That's a great question. So of course, I recommend the course. Even a lot of people that have been a bookkeeper in the past, they're still going to find a significant amount of value in this particular course because it's not just bookkeeping knowledge. It is how to start a bookkeeping business knowledge. So they really lay out the steps for you there. And the biggest thing that Ben preaches, that I preach as well, is to pick a niche. I don't think it's important what that niche is. I've never claimed to be particularly passionate about painting myself, although I do love it now. I cannot see myself doing anything else. That part isn't as important as picking it and then just getting the work done. A lot of people get bogged down by, oh, I don't have a website, or my logo's not perfect, or I don't know, my cat is having a birthday, whatever it is, they find an excuse where they can't move forward with that passion, with that dream. And really, it just needs to be start today, just get started today. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to get done. I can't tell you, I mean, we went 4 years with a DIY Squarespace website that was hideous.
Love it.
And it mattered to no one.
Exactly.
So don't stop yourself thinking that you need to be perfect. Get the course, start the course, pick a niche, and then just, again, have that to-do list and check down it. And if it's at an 80%, 85%, 90% solution, that might as well be 100%. Just get it done.
Yep. Taking action. Love it. Awesome, Melissa. This has been very insightful. We appreciate it. Love seeing other people succeed and start a business with their spouse and create this life of freedom. So just to follow up, where can people follow you? I know you do some consulting as well, so you can kind of share your social media handles or where people can reach out to you and connect with you.
Yeah, so for me specifically, it's pretty easy to find me at melissahonan.com. The audacity that I had to have my name be my website, but I've got big goals when it comes to that as well. And then Instagram, Facebook, you can find me if you search, official Melissa Honan. You can find me on social media there as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Melissa. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kellen. I appreciate being on your podcast.
Appreciate you. Bye.